that you have served, and our police served, and will support and will keep the service together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next is the roll call, Jesse, please.
So we have Mrs. Eileen Panico,
Here.
Mr. Mark Washaw.
Yeah.
Miss Mylan Augulus joining us virtually.
Present.
Mrs. Jacqueline Napolitano Furno,
Present.
Mrs. Lee Kennedy. Then we have Dr. Linda Adams,
Present.
Bridget Villarreal,
Present.
Dean Middleman, Lisa Hutchinson,
Present.
and myself, Jessie Kemp, the district clerk.
Thing that we have is minutes of the Board of Education. I need a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the Board of Education for December 8, 2020. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We need a motion and a second for the second reading and adoption of the policies number 8130, 8131, and 4765. Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion and a second to suspend the business meeting for the audit committee meeting. Motion? Second.
I'll second. A motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any, questions?
I do. I read through it. There was, I think, one thing that, regarding passwords. I think we had that issue, prior. And I'm seeing now that we're gonna have a corrective action plan for that. It also drew my attention to, the expenditures and, revenues regarding our lunch program. I see that we transferred over, or we were in a deficit of $724,000 versus, 2019 of $305,000. I understand that, a good portion of that is due to COVID. I believe Eileen and I had some conversations about doing the Eileen, what's the correct word I'm looking for?
Co-op, the co-op.
Consortium?
It was a co-op, I like.
A co-op. I understand now is not the time to be considering any co-ops, but, I don't think entirely the $724,000 was due to COVID. And I hope that maybe next year we can implement something in place or start having deeper conversations regarding a co-op.
I agree, Myla.
Can I ask for that? Didn't we get a memo?
Wait, you have to put your microphone on when you speak.
We were comparing ourselves to Sachem, who has the co-op. And from what I read today, they lost $1 million 1 year. And how much the second year? Bridget?
Jackie,
$355,000
$1 million
last year.
year. So I think we better look at something else because that doesn't appear to be working either. It's $1 million loss.
I realize Latham is a much bigger district too, so ratio comparative.
Well, it's still a loss. I was under the impression that I heard from you guys that they were making money.
What I heard was that they did some transfers out of there and then had to transfer back in from the general fund and that it wasn't a loss. So I would, maybe in the future, Mylin, we can get someone from the Sachem Food Service Co-op to come down and talk to us and see what happened there.
I agree, thank you.
All right,
So where'd you get your information from?
their financials.
I spoke with the business official. I spoke with the food service director at Sachem,
Okay,
and obviously their financials, which is posted on their website.
Okay.
okay, thank you.
I have some questions about this is not the budget part, right? This is the audit part? Okay. So when we get to the audit part, I'll ask those questions. Okay, anybody else have any more questions on the audit? The corrective action plan?
No, thank you.
So I need all in favor to accept the, oh, I need a motion and a second to accept the corrective action plan.
Motion,
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
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 I need a motion and a second to adjourn the audit committee meeting. All in favor? Schedule 1, resignations, terminations, and leaves of absence. I need a motion and a second. Not on this one,
Motion.
on the second one. Motion, I have a motion on the table. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Schedule 2, we are removing item 4D for a separate vote. Can I get a motion and a second for all the other items, 1 through, what is it through? 1 through 5K.
1 through 4C and then 5, and then all of them.
Okay, 1 through 4C and then all of 5. Can I get a motion and a second for all of that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The separate vote now is number 4D.
For the clarification from Linda on that particular item.
It's the type,
Obviously divulging anything that she's not allowed to.
okay.
We have a person who is going to be absent for a significant amount of time. The people who are filling in right now are working out of title. So we are looking to put someone in who is contingent for that title. If the person were to return, that person would go back into their job. And if that person were not to return, then we would move forward with looking for a permanent replacement.
Does that person we're hiring know that it's a temporary and that he might have to go back? Because I was under the understanding.
It's a contingent position, and
That
I'm
person, I
not,
said.
I'm not Mr. Kolahifar, so I don't know exactly what but it's contingent, so.
Until I get clarification if that person knows also, I'd like to have a separate vote
Okay,
also.
so I have a separate vote. So we are now voting on item 4D. I need a vote, that's a no.
I'm a no.
Huh? There's no motion, I need a vote. So I got a no from Mark, a no from Jackie, Lee?
No, I think Jesse's correct. I think you need a motion for that one.
We're voting on
We're voting on the item because there's gonna be. Okay, so I need a motion and a second to vote on item 4D. Okay, I got you.
Motion.
Second.
Motion.
Okay, now I need your votes.
No.
it. No,
Lee? Yes. Mylan?
Yes.
Eileen is a no. Okay, the next is financial matters, recommended action financial matters. I need a motion and a second. And then discussion.
Motion.
Second. Okay, so I have some discussion. This is where I wanted to do my thing. Frigid. I've been asking this since you got here and probably before you got here. I'm gonna tell you right now, I will not approve the budget at all until I get this information so I can look at it. Part of our duties as the board is to be fiduciary, to be fiscally responsible, sorry. So I would like the last 3 years of the final appropriations report with the transfer list by the item it was transferred.
Eileen, that was supplied to the board last week.
All 3 of them?
Yes, all
For
3
all
years.
3 years?
All 3 years was
I did
supplied to the
not
board.
get a transfer list.
I'll forward it again.
Okay, just send it, I'm gonna see Jesse tomorrow.
Eileen, I saw the transfer list. It's quite lengthy.
Well, I can't print it out or I can't see it from my computer. So Jesse, if you would print it for me, I'll grab it from you.
I believe Jesse sent that home with everybody.
I saw this month's stuff in here from this agenda, but I didn't see 3 years from just the appropriations report, the finalized appropriations report.
It was delivered to your home as well, I believe.
I got the whole envelope right here.
Yeah,
I'll look again, but I
did not see the appropriations.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't see any of it, and not for 3 years. I have the whole envelope right here. I have the general fund, I have four of them, the general fund, the, all the different funds, but not for the 3 years. And that one that I got was July through November or something, I think.
So you asked for the budget transfer, so budget transfers are different than an appropriation
I
status
want the
report.
appropriations report, which lists every line and then what we spent and then the budget amount, the actual and the budget amount. I want that for the 3 years. And then each of those 3 years, we transferred money out of some of those lines. So I want to see that list as well. That's not it. This is not it.
Okay.
It's not the final one. This is from 7/1/2020 to 11/30/2020. I did get those. I want the 3 years, the full 3 years.
That's all I have to. Not right here.
I have it. I have that. That's not what I asked for. That's not what I've been asking for 3 years now.
All of your requests were for budget transfers for 3 years, but I will absolutely get you both
Okay.
in one sheet.
Perfect. Well, every time I asked for the appropriations, it was always, it's not finalized yet. So now they have to all be finalized, so. And that wasn't just you, Bridget, just so you know, it wasn't just you.
That's fine.
Okay,
But with previous board meetings since October, we've put up the appropriation status report for that. So if I go back, let me go back.
yeah,
Hold
it's
on.
on there, I'm just asking for a printout. I'm sure it's on the website, but I want to know the finalized one.
So while we're on the topic of transfers, I'm sorry, Lee, if I cut you off, I didn't mean to.
You did, so hold on one second, Mylin, let me finish. I also, with the, audit, no, it's not the audit, I'm on the budget. The budget, we are doing the numbers from actual, correct? Because you have that on the paper. And we did talk about this at length last year. Where you said, that's not the one, where's my paper? I want wording added into that budget thing. Where it says, Connecticut Central School District Budget Development Guidelines. The third paragraph, the Board of Education is committed to a proposed budget that limits the tax levy to the calculated tax levy cap for 2021-22. The guidelines listed below are based upon anticipated state and federal aid figures. And I want something added in there that says as close to zero as possible, using actual figures by line, not budget to budget. Remember we talked about not using a rollover budget? So I'm not going to approve this personally. I won't approve it. I don't know what my other board members will do unless we use actual figures. I did last year. I won't do it again. So,
This is on the consent agenda, so if we're going to edit it, we need to
okay,
edit
so that'll
it
be on
now.
the consent agenda. It's just part of the money. So that's why I brought it up. And then the last thing, and then Mylene, you can have the floor. There was on one of these reports, POs were issued after invoicing. How does that happen? How do we get an invoice without having a PO approved by the board? That was on one of the treasurer's reports or one of those reports. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mylene, I do have one thing after that. Consent agenda, I'll talk about that one. Anybody? Why were POs issued after we got the invoice? The board has to approve things first. That means we're ordering stuff without board approval. The claims auditor report. Thank you, Jessica. There was two.
December.
Thank you, Jess. I don't have it in front of me. I do have it in front of me on my glass though. Internal claims audit, yes.
Okay,
Invoice
so-
date 10/26, PO date was 11/6, so a week later. Invoice date 9/7, a month later, 10/27 was the actual PO date. PO date was 10/21, and the invoice was dated May, so that's 5 months. So, and then one's $120,000. How'd that happen? All right, I'm gonna move on, but can you guys give me an answer for that? Because that's big money. The other ones are smaller amounts, but that's $120,000. That's big money.
Isn't it not supposed to happen like that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The board, that should have
Whether
never
it's a
gone
little
through.
money or a lot of money, aren't we supposed
We're
to?
supposed to approve purchases, yes.
John, do you know what Porter Capital Corp is? Porter Capital Corp? Porter, Porter. Okay. We'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question was, Ray brought this up when he was on the board, when it was just, before Jackie was on the board, about the interest rates. And we still have not done anything about increasing the interest rates. It's not a lot now, I get that, but it's still more than what we have. Why are we still using some with 0.003 and some with 0.8? Like, it doesn't make sense. Why are we not transferring money into higher interest bearing accounts? And Ray brought that up. What was that now, 2 years ago? Jackie, how long are you on the board?
There was definitely transfer happened. Mrs. Donnelly transferred things that were mature that she could transfer. I don't know.
I'm talking about just the checkings and savings accounts. We're not even talking about maturity dates. We're talking about regular funds that we can do anytime.
So I know that Mrs. Donnelly had done some of the work that Mr. Carter requested of her.
I didn't see
Yes, that was probably done back then.
But
And
it's
what
still
happened is we
happening.
dropped the ball now. So what do we have to do? We have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what
we
we're
should be
trying.
doing this constantly. This should be a constant thing to get the highest interest rate.
It adds
We
up
did.
when you're talking about
When I
millions.
first started, I spoke with Metropolitan Bank and we did exactly that, but I'll supply it.
Okay, thank you. And that's it for me. Mylene, you're up.
Thank you, Eileen. So I noticed that there's quite a bit of transfers out of the New York State Employment Health Insurance
Always, yeah.
to various other clotheslines. So I was gonna bring up that when I was advocating for the science table, and I had the support from my board members,
Yeah.
not four, not three, but five of my board, all five of us had wanted this table, and I had to wait over a year to get the table. And I was told, well, we can't transfer money at this code to that code to this code. But we really are taking money out of a lot of these repetitive codes to put into different code items. So my question is, if the board wants to, in a particular case, like I wanted something for the table, the board agreed, we all agreed that it'd be great for kids. How do we put money in so that if there is something that we see, especially in technology, or something that we feel is a benefit for our kids, how do we get that incorporated into the budget so that we don't have to do a song and a dance to get something like that?
So the table was a little bit different because we did end up receiving a $50,000 grant from the county to do so. So
Yeah, and that was thanks to Linda that we got the grant, because we hit roadblocks before that. So yes, I appreciate that Linda reached out to outside sources to get that money, and if she didn't, I still probably wouldn't have had that table.
So Marlene, what you're talking about is equipment. And the lines you cannot transfer into equipment codes. So, what you're saying is, if you wanted to look at something moving forward as a board to earmark money for a special project in the future, and you wanted to access equipment, you would earmark that money in a curriculum equipment code. Because you can't transfer between other codes into equipment, and you're not supposed to transfer between other functions into equipment. So for example, you're really, by general municipal law, not allowed to transfer from equipment for maintenance into equipment for curriculum. So if we decided not to purchase a lawnmower and we decided we wanted to purchase something in our curriculum, you're really not legally allowed to do that. So really what you're asking is, would you want to put money in a code that was curriculum equipment just in case something came up in the future? That's where the board would most likely put that money.
I understand that piece, Linda, but there is, New York State Health Employment, it goes to quite a bit of different things here. I think they even paid a salary out of this. We transfer money out of this to pay a salary. So, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but the very specific municipal law is about equipment.
Some code, like, yeah, Chairman Retro, so we're pulling out of health insurance.
Okay, I just
code
wanted you to know.
to pay for certain things, reimbursements and other things, special education on BOCES. So it seems to me that code has a lot of, play where other codes don't. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, so as you know, every single year there's contingencies built into the budget, and that's one of the codes where the contingencies are built in for things that we have to pay. So if there are contracts that have retro or some other language that we have to pay out money from, yes, it's going to be above and beyond what those individual, budget codes are budgeted for. So we will have to transfer from one account into another to be able to pay out those certain items.
So again, it's fluid to certain things. So is that account fluid to certain items, or is it fluid to everything? And only other accounts are restricted?
You can transfer out of an equipment code is what Dr. Adams explained, but you cannot transfer into an equipment code. But payroll, yes, certainly, as contracts change, as additional staff, especially with COVID, we had to hire so many more individuals to be able to run and operate a school district. Yes, but we're also mandated, and we have to make sure we're going through general municipal law and many other things that hold us accountable.
Okay, so now that we're sort of moving into technology world, we've been doing that for quite a while. So is it that we could put a little bit in there so that if the board or the administration sees something that would be beneficial to our staff and children, will we have some movement there?
Instead of putting it into the funding, you can't
Transfer out of but not into, is that what you're saying, Marlene?
Correct, thank you,
Yep.
Eileen.
Really, the fund that has the most laws around it is equipment. So if the board wanted to put, I'm just using a round number, if the board wanted to put $100,000 in a curriculum equipment code, that could be transferred out into just about anywhere else. But no monies can be transferred into.
No, I think what Marlene is asking is when we do the budget this year,
Mhm.
can we
Correct.
put the contingency in the equipment code now so that we don't have this problem if Marlene finds another table
Yes,
or Lee finds or Jackie finds something else?
I just explained that. The board could put $100,000 into curriculum equipment. And then
Okay.
if you decide you want to do something in technology, or you can.
We can transfer out.
You
Okay,
just
sorry, I
can't transfer it in.
misunderstood you. Okay, good. So Marlene, we could work on that when we do the budget as well.
Thank you, Eileen.
You're welcome. Okay, so that's, what are we up to now? Consent agenda? Oh, from the financial matters. Anybody else have any questions on the financial matters? No? I need all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Lee? Oh, well, I can't hear you. Microphone's on. All right, I need a motion and a second for the consent agenda and then discussion.
Motion.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
We are, I would like to table item number 5. I have a couple of questions here.
Eileen, you said it all in favor. We didn't discuss.
Oh, sorry, that was to discuss, not to, how do I take that back? I take it back.
You, make a motion to, reconsider.
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the consent agenda for discussion.
Motion.
Second? Okay, now we can discuss, right? Okay, so, the budget guidelines we just talked about. I want that wording added in.
Can you be more specific, please?
No, I can't. I'll give you what I'm saying is I want the budget, we're at $199 million right now. And we have a lot of cushion in there, and I said this last year, I want it done by line, not budget to budget. So if that's not possible, and you guys continue to do the cushion, then I want the tax levy to be as close to zero as possible. And again, but using the actual figures. Otherwise, I personally, I'm telling you right now, tell the entire public, I will not vote for that budget, and we can go to contingency. Because $199 million, if we have all this money to transfer all over the place, my taxpayers shouldn't have to pay all that much money. So I want that looked at very carefully this year. That's all that's just my comment there. Okay, that's the budget. Number 4, US Medical Staffing Agreement. What the heck is that?
Substitute nurses.
What is it?
Substitute nurses and other medical professionals if we were to need them.
Okay, but don't we have nurses?
If we need a substitute nurse, because we don't have a nurse to cover, we could go to this service.
That's all it is?
Yes.
Okay. And the cost of these, is that in line with what we pay our actual nurses?
I would assume that our nurses make more per hour, but I have not done that analysis.
Okay, because we also have, I mean, we have to do the training. We have to pay for the training, it says in this contract. I mean, that's gonna cost us money. A plan to test the school students and teachers for the COVID-19. I mean, that has to go through the parents, the school. We have to have a school medical director. I mean, we have to make another position now. That's gonna cost
We
us
have
money.
that. We have a school medical director.
We have one?
Yes, we have Dr. Gill.
Okay. Oh, that's, okay, that's just the doctor, that's what they call? Okay, but then it also says, that we have to have an adequate number of certified staff available to the school to collect nasal samples. I mean, it's all about COVID, and it's all, to me, I'm seeing dollars ringing up on the register big time. Why are we doing this program? You're saying it's substitute nurses, but it's telling me,
Are you speaking about the U.S. medical staffing? Agreement?
yeah,
These are consultants that would come in if we want them to come in. And the rates are $55 an hour for an RN.
plus we have to have insurance, plus we have to do this. But did you read this thing?
You're actually not talking about that. You're talking about the MOA from the Suffolk County Department of Health
I'm looking at it
Services.
right here. Oh, I have two of them. I'm looking at the COVID-19. You're right.
I was wondering what you were doing.
Sorry,
I had questions about that too.
The COVID-19 one, I'll go back to that one. The medical staffing, you're saying that's just the nurses.
This
I'm
is
okay
if
with
we
that.
need subs.
Okay, that we can move on. The next one was the Gercio and Gercio. That's on, I'd like to make a motion to table that item. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Lee? No, you don't want to table it? Okay, well, it's tabled because we got 4. The COVID testing, let's go back to that. There's this whole agreement that they want us to sign, and I'm telling you, I see the cash register going ding, 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 ding.
So if the school district ever needs to test because the surrounding area, because we're directed to test by the state or the governor, we cannot access free COVID tests from the Suffolk County Department of Health Services without
Didn't Riverhead
entering
do
into an MOA. I'm
Didn't-
sorry.
Isn't Riverhead the testing site and they're doing it right now for free
Wait,
through
Jackie.
Ballone's office?
So
So this is
same
if we're directed, you're telling me?
if we're directed, we need to have had this MOA in place in order for us to access.
Well, until we're directed, I don't want to do this. This is a lot of money. You're talking about every single paragraph is costing money.
There should be no money. It's really more
It
about.
says
the
we have to
ability
buy
access.
insurance. We have to have HIPAA. We already violate HIPAA all the time. We have to have secure and temperature controlled test card storage plans. I mean, all these things are going to cost us money to put them in place. Everything in here.
I believe that's actually the Suffolk County Department of Health that has.
Well,
to
it's
have
not saying that in this thing. I'd like to make a motion to table this as well until
Hey,
Lisa looks it over.
No, so we looked it over. If I can make a comment,
Lisa's speaking.
just to make a comment, Linda did send it to us, we looked it over. Everybody got this in Suffolk County, all the schools. So what we're trying to do is to see if we can negotiate with Suffolk County to push back on some of the obligations to the school districts. We may or may not be successful. So if you want to wait till your next meeting after we have a conversation with them on
I
behalf
would like,
of
yeah.
more districts, you can certainly do that.
So then that's what I would like to do. I would like to make a motion to table this as well until the lawyer has tried to negotiate with Suffolk County.
Is this, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is this what they're doing out east?
Yes.
Yes, this is,
Okay,
so.
There
when
is
you
a
talk
school
about
district that Riverhead is doing it
And they
already.
had to sign this. Linda
But
is
I
correct.
thought that, what I'm saying is, didn't Ballone's office pay for that?
Yes.
I don't know who paid for it. To be honest
Well, in
with you,
Suffolk
I'm not.
County, didn't Suffolk County pay for it as a testing site?
So there were multiple testing sites before the vacation. East Islip, Riverhead, Copeg, East Hampton, Hampton Bays. They had to enter into this agreement with the Suffolk County Department of Health because the Suffolk County Department of Health provided all the tests. And in most sites, the Suffolk County Department of Health also provided the majority of the nurses. And that's what this is about. If we
It's not-
were to be
that's not just
mandated to
it.
test, we would not be able to access those services or those tests without this MOA.
But there's,
But we can't get what they
there's
have, is what I'm
also
asking.
insurance
We
that
couldn't
they
just
say we
get
have
what
to
they
buy.
have?
They're pushing a lot of
The
the
biggest
responsibility
issue
on
with
the
that
district. So
is
that's the
that
conversation we
there,
wanna
if there's
have.
So-
multiple places going on at the same time, it'd be likely
May
to
not
do
be
our own
successful,
nurses
but we
testing
want to try.
and
At
not
least
Suffolk
try,
County
right,
Department of
before
Health.
say
They would
yes to this,
oversee it.
that's crazy.
All right, so
So Linda, I have this one question for you. Who is the school medical director?
Dr. Gill,
Okay, so Lisa, I guess this would apply to you.
Mhm.
On the, section 2, item E, so it says, training for the appropriate staff to perform a test and demonstration of competency, relative to implementation of the school district rapid testing program. So I did ask my daughter-in-law, how many people come into her building? Her building is the equivalent size to Cherokee. She's saying that it's 3 staff, so it's one person that takes the information, another person that does something, and it's the actual person that administers the test. So, I would assume that that would be, and she said that they come to the building once a week. Those 3 staff come to the building once a week. So when I was looking at this, I was thinking to myself, so I guess on the north and south side, you have a set of people that come because you have to go 5 days a week to visit the 5 buildings. You go on the other side, another staff, another set of staff that goes like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's how New York City, at least that's how they're doing it. In her building, they come in once a week. In her building, they're doing, I believe it's 10% of the, school and staff. Is that correct, Linda? Is that what they're looking to do, about 10%?
actually, Mylan, they haven't given us the guidelines, when Governor Cuomo spoke last week about if the surrounding community went above 9%, the school district would need to test in order to stay in person. We have still yet to see what those guidelines are. So I couldn't tell you how many times we would visit different places because without those guidelines, we don't actually know how many people would need to be tested. So,
Okay,
but we can't test at all if we don't have this MOA, and that's why the MOA is on here.
And then the consequence to that.
I am in favor of doing it. I know that there's long lines. I think it's definitely a convenience for parents, for their students, for their children to be tested. So I'm not against it. I definitely see the benefits to this. The other question I have too.
Mylin, the only thing I'm asking to do is table it until the lawyers can maybe push back and make sure that we don't have to, the burden of all these costs are not on the school districts. So until the next meeting, that's what I'm asking to table it for.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Well, I just want to list off my questions for, Lisa. So Lisa, my other question would be, so say if the parent of Johnny does not want Johnny to get tested, what happens? Because I don't see that being reflected in.
There's no
this,
parental consent.
Yeah,
for it.
so that's a separate guideline. So this is really just so that the district can do the testing. If Johnny doesn't want to be tested, likely Johnny eventually would not be able to attend school. They would have to be on remote instruction, likely.
Doing that in New York City as well. So,
We don't know
Lisa, I'm sorry, one last question. On part 3, item B, is it possible that you could get the Board of Education further clarification on that, language?
Yeah, that's another thing. If there's an appeal or.
The indemnification and defense clause you're talking
Yeah.
about, that's the piece that we want to speak with Suffolk County about. So typically, in these types of agreements, you have, what they call reciprocal, indemnification and defense. It's understandable why Suffolk County doesn't want to do it, but that's a
They wanna take our
conversation.
money because they don't have any.
Well, that's a conversation we want to have.
Okay. So
Um,
I'm gonna make a motion to table this until the next meeting after Lisa reports back to us. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. That's tabled, Jess? Okay, the next thing is the the resolution. Lisa, did you write this resolution for this coronavirus?
Let me look.
Whereas on March 11, 2020, the World Health Organization declared coronavirus disease 2019 a pandemic. Did you write this thing?
No.
Okay, so,
Are you referring to item number 7?
yes, I am. So, some of the language in here First of all, I want you to look it over before I'll say yes, so I want to table this as well. Because there was one line, and I have to find it again, that the board authorizes the district superintendent or his or her designee to take the necessary legal steps to purchase equipment, supplies, and other, I'm giving an open checkbook?
Let me look
So,
at this.
can you
I'm
please
not
look at
sure. Is this from Bridget? Is this the
was-
one we provided back in March
I'm
earlier?
pretty sure, yes.
Yes, so we probably did do this. This is a repeat of what
But
we
this
had
is an open
supplied.
checkbook. This is saying, go ahead.
It's
If
not
you say
an
it's for
open,
COVID, here you go, spend it without even asking the board.
it's not an open checkbook. It's
That's what
because we're
that
having
language
issues.
sounds like.
For example, John and facilities really need gloves. We're limited in the bids that we can access to be able to get those gloves because a lot of companies are sold out, and this resolution allows us to access those bids.
I understand what you're saying, but Lisa, the language is not that tight.
I believe this is the language that we provided before, but if you're looking to limit this so that there is definitive board approval.
Yeah, I mean, this,
when you-
it can't just, it could be $120,000 and we don't know about it.
So if you're looking to get this done now, I can make some changes to this so that you can reconsider it before the end of the meeting.
Well, I'm leaving after this one, so.
So the board is meeting in 2 weeks?
I agree with Eileen by tightening the language on this.
Okay. So,
Can we do it by the next meeting?
yes, we can definitely do it.
Okay, so I need a motion. I'm gonna motion to table this as well. I need a second.
Motion.
Yeah, I need a second, Mylin. I motion. You second?
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And that's all I have on the consent agenda. Does anyone else have any other questions on the consent agenda? The only other thing I have, John, is the bids for the KLH. We only got one. Not real happy about that. I'm gonna let it slide right now. Anybody else?
Yes, I just had one question, actually just going thoughts in my head. I saw, item number 12, resolutions, participate in the Southampton, library supplies and furnishings. Could someone just elaborate on that?
That's just so we can buy more stuff with the more purchasing power, right, Bridget? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. That's like our normal,
Okay, so.
Yeah.
So now that topic came up, where are we, with our elementary libraries?
As far as moving forward with the capital work, Mylan, is that what you're asking?
Correct.
So I don't know if you can hear me, Mylan, it's John. Two of the libraries have been approved.
That you can hear. Which
Ma-
two libraries?
You're gonna get me on this one. I will get you a memo tomorrow with which two. We have four libraries that are at the state. Two of them got approved out of order. That's why I don't remember the exact ones that were approved. We have not developed the bids for that, so we have not solicited any prices. So that's why the Board of Education has not seen anything relative to the elementary libraries at this point.
So what is I know that you created a timeline. Are we behind the timeline because of the COVID? And, are we still sticking to our projected timelines of completion of these projects?
Mylin and John, can you just hold on 1 second? Mylin, can you do that during the discussion? Because I have to leave. I have to leave, so I wanted to vote on the consent agenda. And then you have, discussion items. And this is a discussion item.
Okay.
Would you do that for me, please? Thank you. So I need a motion, thank you. I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all. I'm gonna turn the meeting over to Mark, and I'm sorry that I have to go, but I do have to leave tonight. Thank you. Now you're up to new discussion, Mark. Now you get back to that, Mylin.
All right,
Actually,
feel
we-
better, Eileen.
I'm sorry, Mr. Warshaw.
Sorry.
We asked two folks have appointments to speak with you guys. We gave them 8:30 and 8:35, and they've been sitting here the whole night. So could we actually allow the public?
Yes, and I'm sorry I won't be able to listen, but I'll watch it on YouTube.
So we'll go to public comment. We'll let the two
And then-
speakers that want to come up. I don't know who's first, which, come right up.
Again, I apologize. Thank you for coming to speak. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Eileen, please turn your mic off though, please. Thank you.
I'm staying. Go ahead, you can go. It's public comment. You have
Okay,
up to 3
thank you.
minutes. Address the board and we're good to go.
Okay, thank you. So I first just wanted to take this minute to say thank you to Dr. Adams and all the parties involved in keeping our district open and in person when we safely can. Other districts have chosen remote learning and at times chose to keep the schools closed rather than in person before and after schools breaks. I'm extremely grateful for us being open, and I know we are in hard and scary times. My husband is a first responder. My cousin, who is pregnant, is a nurse on a COVID patient floor in a hospital, so I understand the fears that people have with going out of their homes to work. So a big and huge thank you to all the teachers, therapists, and staff who give 100% to our children every day. I really appreciate all of you, and I just wanted to state that. My son has been in the district almost 3 years now. He spent 2 years in the CAPS program where the CPSC coordinator, psychologists, teachers, therapists, and staffs were truly a blessing. Communication was easy and all my concerns as a parent with her first child requiring services were met. This year, my son is in a new building for kindergarten. His teacher and aide give 110% every day and are exceptional educators. His therapists work well and diligently with him, and improvement has been made in those areas since September. I come to you tonight with unfortunately having an issue with the administration in the building. From day one at kindergarten orientation, I was made to feel different.
We're really not supposed to talk about an administrator by name.
Oh, I didn't say name.
I know, but we know the building.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay, so,
Just try to leave out the name of the building, whatever, just so
Yeah,
you have a problem in the district,
okay.
if that's all right.
thank you.
So at orientation, myself and 2 other parents waited outside for the corresponding class that we were supposed to have the time with to go into kindergarten orientation. The security guard came out, took one class and told us to wait. Myself and the other parents were outside for 10 minutes before the teacher came to get us and apologized. We should have been sitting in on the orientation before it was given. The teacher took us to our room and assured we would be addressed, and that never happened. We were never sought out. So the teacher then had to go get the individual to speak with us and answer our questions. So I felt a disconnect right there where I was being kind of left out and felt different, that I wasn't included. And there my son is seeing all the other students sitting with their parents and they're being included in this speech, and I'm standing on the side. So following that, the past several weeks, basically right after the Thanksgiving break, I was checking my son's notebook for his services, and he hadn't received anything in this specific service since December 3rd. I let time go by because I know the situation's going on, and I know how difficult staffing is, and rumors were spreading that certain areas were out and had to quarantine, whatever the case may be. So I had to reach out to Dr. Adams and the interim special ed director. Both responded to me in a very short amount of time. But my point was my son had missed 10 sessions at this time. I don't blame the therapist at all, COVID or not. People are allowed to take their sick time. Things happen, life happens. I totally get it. We're not here. But it took for me 3 to 4 weeks that I had to go to my son's teacher and then have to reach out to Dr. Adams and reach out to Dr. Hanziamantis before someone actually responded to me what was going on. So my concern is I would like to know going forward that communication in that building will be in any building is there for the parents. I'm not saying after a day or 2 that my son missed services, but at least 2 weeks I should have been notified about what was going on. And I just want to know too that my son's well-being is and his heart is at best interest there, because right now I don't feel that way and I kind of feel a little ostracized. And I know I just don't want parents to feel that way. I'm on the SEPTA board member. I'm one of the SEPTA members with Jill, and our goal is to make sure parents advocate for their child and not to feel bullied or that repercussions are going to come. So I just want to make sure that going forward, communication will be there for all parents, special needs or not. So that's just what I wanted to bring forward tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. I'm actually going to piggyback on that a little bit. In my 8 years in this district, I've met some pretty amazing people. My son went to the middle school and the high school. My daughter is enrolled in the special education program at one of the elementary schools. To say we have an amazing team of people working here at Connecticut would be an understatement. The value and the wisdom they bring to our community is imperative to our children's educational experience. I know personally I appreciate the teachers that have made a difference in both my children's lives. That being said, it truly breaks my heart because I don't know if everybody is aware, but we have a major problem in our district. Parents like Nicole that have opened up and spoken out are getting private messages to be careful. Be careful where you tread. Be careful who you speak out against. I keep hearing a number from multiple people I have spoken to, 90 to 95%. 90 to 95% of our teachers in this district are absolutely amazing. I know personally, I've never really had a problem with a teacher. They're all astounded. Words can't describe our staff here. That other 5 to 10% chastises parents for speaking out. And when it comes to special education, there's not only laws that protect our children, there's actually laws that protect parents who advocate for their kids. So I don't know if everybody is aware of it. I don't know if they're aware of those laws, but the more I'm having special education parents come to me as a president of SEPTA, I've only been doing this. I've had other things I've advocated for in this district. I've gotten warnings. I have never gotten warnings like this. And I have said it plenty of time at board meetings, God help the person that comes after my child. I'm a big mouth. I speak out. There are parents that are coming to me that are scared to speak out about their kids not getting services. They are scared to say, well, this IEP wasn't followed or this 504 wasn't followed. Those are laws, and those are laws that are there on the books for a reason because of that. That right there. Somebody might not feel that those accommodations are necessary, or they might not want to do them, but they are there for a reason and they have to be followed. And if a parent speaks out, especially a special education parent, there are laws protecting us as well. So if parents want to come and speak out at meetings, they want to. The problem is they get private messages, just like I did, just like Nicole did, telling you not to. That is a major issue for general education. But special education, there's actual whistleblowers laws that protect us as parents. So I don't know what needs to get done. I don't know where the problem lies. All I know is that for 95%, 95 is the number I get told from plenty of people I've talked to about this. Our teachers are absolutely amazing. Then there is this small percentage that are smearing us in the news, in other districts, and now our parents are afraid to speak up. That's not okay.
Wait, listen.
Who is smearing you? I don't understand.
I have plenty of educators in other school districts that are administrative, that work with special needs. I work with a lot of advocates for special education on Long Island. We do not look good when it comes to a very small percentage of our teaching population. And I've never interacted with them, but it makes me wonder, there's parents that say, well, my son never had this issue. And is it because I spoke out now in the last year? My daughter never had this problem. Is it because I made a problem about her IEP? You can't have that.
I want you to hear me on this. Think you shut yourself out? You have our word that we're gonna look into it, because I think I can say for everybody, this is something that I emailed Linda, and I emailed, the board. It was the whole board. I emailed the whole board the other day because I got several messages about this. So I know what you're talking about. I didn't understand it first, but now I understand. And it's the same thing. I got the messages. I forwarded it to Linda and the board. This is what I was talking about earlier. And we made it very clear that that won't happen anymore. There is not to be bullying of parents. No parent should ever be afraid to come forward. And any parent, and I do mean any parent, can call me at any time. Anytime. I know me and Linda, I said they shouldn't be calling me. They should be calling their building principal. But I will never turn a parent away. I am a parent in the district. I will never, ever turn a parent away. No child will be bullied by an adult at all. And if they are, you bring it to us, because there is a problem when any adult, and I'm not saying anyone did, because I don't know, we're going to see. But we're not supposed to be telling people no bullying and bullying isn't okay, but it's okay to scare parents into not speaking. For many years I spoke up. I will still speak up. I will speak up for you. Just let me know.
I think you should let.
I'm gonna follow up with Mrs. Napolitano Furno. If you're not comfortable in calling me, and I call people back, I email people back, or I get the person that's going to solve the problem to get back to those people as quickly as possible. If you're not comfortable calling me, you call one of the board members, they will call me, and we will figure out who is going to solve the problem. It's unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable.
Because it's also not just, so just know, I've had teachers tell this to me that they were scared to speak up. That's not okay.
It's not acceptable.
It's unacceptable.
Yep.
Especially if it's a teacher that's advocating for something that a child needs, and they don't want to go against this small population, then something needs to be done about that small population. Because we have an amazing, amazing teaching staff,
We do, absolutely do.
and they shouldn't feel silenced, especially in today's world. They should.
So I'm gonna call you tomorrow, and we're gonna chat, okay?
And Linda, I'm gonna give Linda credit right here. Linda and the interim special education director did, after I emailed, did get on top of this, and my understanding is it was handled.
Yes,
Yeah, because I did speak to the intern. She's awesome.
she is awesome.
She's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully we're hiring an awesome one as well.
Sorry for the misfortune. We'll move on. We're gonna go back to, new business discussion items for the Board of Education and topics. I'm gonna say something that I went to the Winter Wonderland. Had a good time. I think you guys did a great job on it. I don't know who the head of it was. I know Mr. Moran. He had something to do with it. But it was really a beautiful program. If you got a chance to go down there, anybody, if you saw it, you would be excited about what our school district did for the kids and for the parents. And we tried to make the best of a situation for this Christmas that happened. If anybody else has something to bring up, I know we were talking about something before.
Well, this is, I wanted to let the administrators talk so that we can get that done, the answer, questions and answers.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna go back to what Eileen said, that John Allen was discussing with.
Okay. Well, because I'm saying we have the three administrators to speak. What? I wanted to let the high school administration so that they could hit the road too.
You want them to talk?
Yeah.
You want them to leave?
No, I want them to talk. Let them
Okay,
talk.
go ahead.
Can I,
Who do you want to talk first?
let Mr. Moran come up.
Hello, Mr. Moran. Come on up.
I'll follow up what you guys did an excellent job at Winter Wonderland. The PTA did an excellent job. You administrators, the children, great time. Thank you for doing that.
It was our pleasure.
Security, you did a great job. Everybody did a great job. Appreciate it. The kids, they had a lot of fun. Glad to see it. We've had some questions. Well, I have some questions for the high school. There's been a lot of conversation, a lot of numbers. Dean sent us the numbers, right? Okay. We tried to find out, and me and Mylene spoke a little bit about it. Yeah, I just want to find out what is going on, what is being done to make sure our seniors are successful. The numbers, they're not looking good for graduation. I have a whole list of questions to ask in regards to that, in regards to the credit policy, why it hasn't been suspended, and where are you with the revisions? And what are we doing to try to make sure that all these children get to walk? I mean, I don't want to wait until like 2 years ago. I don't want to wait until a week before, a day before, 3 days before to hear we have this many in a population that are failing. The numbers don't look good right now, in hopes that there's some kind of path that we're looking for to help these kids get on the right track, to help them, especially during this challenging year. I'm gonna bring all that up. I was gonna ask one at a time. You want me to ask all?
I'll
of them?
start.
One
You know,
at a
I'll,
time is good. They're in different places, so the seniors asking for success, that's a huge
So just
start.
go one at a time.
Yep.
I showed Linda the questions, so I wanted to make sure, I tried to keep them as best as I could, but parents were, that I spoke to, they had told me a couple different things, and I just wanted to hit it up with you and see what you guys.
I can speak about the seniors. I've called every senior that has failed even one class, if it's a class needed to graduate. I've spoke to every parent. Kids that failed more than one class, I called all of them as well, even if it was two classes that weren't needed for graduation. I spoke to the parents. If they told me, it's a particular problem with the class, I emailed the teacher. If the work was handed in, because if they're looking on the parent portal, the work might not have been reflected. So I emailed the teachers after I spoke to the parents. So every parent has been spoken to for every senior that failed at least one class, and every parent has been spoken to for a senior that has failed more than one class, even if they're not required to graduate. And when I say spoken to, I at least left a message for every parent. I did not get everyone.
Okay, yeah, because the situation was, I guess, a few days ago, parents were told that some children wouldn't graduate or would have to sit in front of a committee or something along that
That
line.
is the,
And
go ahead.
and they hadn't spoken to anybody. They hadn't spoken to anybody.
I've called failures. That's a letter for attendance.
No, I understand, but there's kids that are failing that did not get a phone call. I mean, I'm just telling you what I got from parents, and then they reached out. They had to reach out.
Any senior that, you can call me tomorrow, any senior that is failing, I did call, so.
Okay, and are we making sure that every senior, whether it is health class, whether it is gym, whether it is math, whatever it is, we're making sure we're giving them an opportunity right now
Of course.
to make
that's
up
why-
that class, and no parent is being told that they are going to have to, sit in front of a committee in June. No person's being told that.
Letters have gone out for attendance. I'm talking about kids that have failed classes, and for any classes and the health and the phys ed, all
Well,
of,
that's another issue, like attendance. How are we doing attendance if the first month and the second month, we ended up having all sorts of technical issues, and really, we failed in not for giving technology out to this district in a timely fashion. That's on us. And I'll own that as one of the board members. But at the end of the day, there are still children that we're saying in September, when there was all sorts of new, kids are using their cell phones, there's all sorts of new issues, whether they were losing their Wi-Fi, they were logging in a few minutes late. I know I reached out to Linda a few times, and she even said that they were gonna look into a possible, some other button that you could push to show you came on late, but that you were still in attendance. I don't know if that ended up happening, or what with the kids that ended up going on. I said if they lost connection or they were marked absent. Okay, I've spoken where parents have said that they called attendance, it still didn't matter, they were still marked absent. So I'm just trying to find out, with 6 months to go, okay, we should have no parent, we should have no parent that thinks their child's gonna fail. Because we have 6 months. 6 months to make sure their child is successful. Right? I mean, that's what we're all here to do. We're here to help kids. So if that's what I want to make sure that we're going in that direction. Because any parent that thinks right now, I got to go in front of a committee in June, or I got to go in front of the Board of Ed, I'm telling you here and now, my one voice, my one vote is going to be to let kids walk this year, especially with what's going on. If I'm being told that unless it's some extreme case of disrespect to an adult, that's a whole different ball of wax. But if you're telling me that a kid is just having issues because they got to use their cell phone and they can't get on, or they're going virtual because the numbers are higher, or some kids remote, they just can't do. It's just very difficult for some children. If that's the case, and these kids are, and any issue, that becomes an issue.
this
You know,
is the
Mike,
attendance
can I just-
policy. I don't know if
I have
you,
a whole list of questions. You can go next.
Wait, I just want to hold on for 1 second.
Go ahead.
this attendance policy, I don't know if you have it. Mark, do you have copies to hand out?
This is our high school attendance protocol, specifically for our attendance and then our credit policy. I think it's important as we hand this out, what needs to be said is the two are really two different items. You have one that falls under the Commissioner Regulation 104.1, that the board every year, actually adopts our attendance policy after it's reviewed by committee. This comes out of that. This is what the attendance policy is, with specific letters that have to go out at different times of the year based on cumulative absences. Specifically, when a student reaches exceeded both cumulative and consecutive, it's a 5, a 15, and a 20 letter. Then there's a different set of protocols that come up when we talk specifically about the credit policy. And then when we start talking about the credit policy, that's when we begin to get into discussions at the end of the year about the appeals committee. And I think everybody needs to be able to see more clearly with clearer lens how that process works, because it's not there and it's not designed to hurt students. It's there to take into account the mitigating issues that might come up during the year. And they happen. I mean, certainly during a pandemic, we're going to run into much of this. And we're all sensitive to that. The families are going through personally, not to mention what our faculty and staff encounter also personally day to
Oh, yeah.
day. But,
Well, the issue I think is because I know what you're, I'm going to use it for instance. Here, in the past, physical education absences were able to be made up in the morning before school and before the end of the quarter. Why can't these absences be made up virtually? So here's a question. If I have a child, and I'm just giving you I'm general, if I have a kid that's failing gym or health or something along those lines, why can't I take another, now I'm into January, why can't I take another half a credit of that to try to pass? If I'm failing, why would I have to wait till June to have to, I don't understand like some of these, I know what you're saying, but then there are some options where we have a lot of seniors who have only 4 classes. Okay, they're 4 classes, right? I'm looking at what they sent me. It looks like they have 4 classes, some kids. If
a minimum of 6.5 credits. This year we've allotted some students to drop down to as low as 5.5, but this year it's lower.
Okay, so what I'm asking is, so if you have, what I'm saying to you is, so if we had to add a half a credit of whatever it is, home ec, I don't know, I'm just using gym because it's, it's a graduation, so if that's it, are we gonna tell a kid that they can't walk on graduation day or that they're gonna have to go in front of a committee when right now we can find a solution instead of an excuse? We can find a solution and say, hey, let's give this child another opportunity, and then it's on the child. Then we actually gave the kid an opportunity. You didn't pass it this first, whatever it is. Guess what? Now we're giving you another opportunity. What was your excuse? Now here's a solution for you. It's on you to make it work.
We spoke to Mr. Mallory today, actually, just to give the students an opportunity to make up the classes. So there isn't going to be the situation describing where they have to wait till June to know if they're getting the phys ed credit. And he was fine with the students making up.
Oh, great. Okay, good. Well, that's good to know because I'm going to let a couple of parents know because I know that a few parents were not told that about a couple of different things.
Well, we wanted to check with the AD and he was
Yeah.
fine with that.
Okay.
So,
And here's another one. How can parents access their child's daily attendance period by period to ensure the student is in attendance virtually for each class? Working parents need a way to check on their children if they are not at home with them, especially in high school, being that they're teenagers. Some of them sleep in, their alarms don't go off. They're kids. We all know some kids are more motivated than others.
How can we check the period by period attendance? We have period.
No, as a parent though. How can the
So-
parents access it? Well, I'm being told that the parents can't access their child's daily attendance period by period to ensure the student's in class.
We would have to look into what's on the parent portal right now, and whether that capacity of the program is able to show period by period. They can see the daily attendance, and plus they get the phone calls, but that's a good question.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, we have.
so just before we go on, there have been some changes with regards to attendance for New York State. And we have recently met with all of our administrators at the secondary level to revise some of the coding for that. And that just came out from New York State recently. This has been a very fluid year with regards to attendance because of the numerous challenges that we have never faced as a school district before. Having students who are virtual, who are their cameras on, their cameras off, they're logging in late, they're logging in on time, and all these different reasons why. We have tried to create as many different codes as possible to make that, to make the understanding of the student attendance clear. But it is a fluid process. So we have guidance that's going out to our teaching staff with some revisions about the coding of attendance, as well as we have 2 of our middle school administrators who are putting together a committee. I'm meeting with them actually tomorrow. Basically, it's an online expectations committee, and they're putting together with several teachers from each of the levels to talk about what the expectations are for students, what present means, and all those different things to kind of gauge, that online engagement component of attendance. So those are things that are all within the process that are currently going on.
Okay.
And, the high school has been working with their staff to try to make sure, and their attendance clericals, it's just a challenge this year, and it's something we've never faced. So, it has been very fluid. Ms. Moran did send me the revisions of the credit policy, which she shared with you this evening, which, the plan was to share tonight. So, our
And
hope
the
is
issue
that.
isn't, I don't think the issue is with a lot of parents. I don't think the issue is that they don't understand that, these are, a lot of this is a work in progress. I think the issue is that some of them are being told one thing, some of them aren't getting the answers, and the ones that are getting the answers aren't getting the answers that are factual, because I'm getting the factual answers right from them. That's why I wanted them to speak to them as opposed. Right, no, I understand, but I'm saying, in no disrespect, I'm saying I don't think anyone really understands. A lot of the parents are confused by a lot of the things that have been going on, and now they're being told, hey, my kid might fail, or your kid was absent all these times. Meanwhile, we, as the district, have been responsible for giving lack of technology. We had lack of a lot of different things the first month. I mean, I even have a question here like this. How can students be held accountable for the beginning of the year latenesses and/or absences when there were many technical issues, either from students at home, either from the attendance department, along with lack of teaching staff or training for protocols involving attendance and virtual learning? It's not against anyone. We were all going through the same challenging time.
Completely.
How are we holding the students more accountable than we're holding the adults? It doesn't make sense to me.
But I think that's what the high school has been addressing, and I'm sure Mr. Moran will be able to articulate that.
But this is what I'm saying to you. But the parents that I spoke to are telling me that their children, and this was saying children in general, a bunch of them, if they have absences, they're going to lose credit. So my thing is, let's suspend the credit policy, and let's also give them another chance to get whatever it is fixed now. There's no reason why we should be telling parents that their students are failing and they're not going to be graduating, and that their only option, and this has been done, their only option is to speak to a committee in June. That is unacceptable. For students especially, like, they're going through enough anxiety, enough stress, and now we're going to tell a senior? This is like, we thought last year was the worst senior year. No way, this is by far. There's nothing special other than these little things that we're trying, and I appreciate, like the Winter Wonderland, but really, this is not the norm of any school year for anybody's kid.
Okay.
We have to be a little more lenient, I think.
Does everybody have this form? It should have, have red on it as well. Do you have that, Jackie? Did you just pass that out, Mark? It says high school attendance policy updated January 11th, 2021. All right, so if you take a look at the high school attendance, Mark, did they have the old one as well? All right, for comparison's sake, you can look at the old attendance policy. So this one has been updated. When we came to the last board meeting, the board asked that we updated and make some changes to the attendance policy and the credit policy. So I'm not going to go through it line by line, but if you look in red, those are the changes that have been made. So some of it is just verbiage. The way it was written, it's clearer. I will spend more time talking about the changes that affect the students. So like 5-day consecutive absences on that bullet on the bottom, possible interventions, meeting with student, phone call to parents, letter to parents, assign students to meet with guidance counsel or YFS. That was added in to get the YFS workers involved for students who've been out 5 consecutive days. That will be at the assistant principal's discretion after he investigates why a student or she has been out 5 consecutive days. Same things under the 15 days. So same possible interventions. Like I said, if you have the older policy, some of those we changed some of the wording just to make it clearer for everybody to understand. If you go to 20 consecutive full days, that was all changed as well. General education students, and we show the difference between the special ed students and the general education students, adding in the director of PPS, director of special ed, to get them involved in the day consecutives. We also made a change that now for the attendance policy, that's going to be handled by the grade level office. and the grade level office secretaries will generate the letter, and it'll be sent out under the assistant principal's name. So for the attendance, that's going to go for Mr. Sidman, Ms. Laux, and Ms. Goodwin. And then when you get to the the credit policy, that will be Ms. Goodwin's office. So it's been split. So
Wait,
instead of,
I want to ask you something. So I had told, though Linda left, I had a question that actually may have went right into that.
okay,
It was in regards to, I want to ask him something. But what I want to ask him, because it's going to go right into it, otherwise I'm going to forget. Sorry about that. I just want to get so that you actually, it was the one where, is each administrator dealing with their own grade levels credit policy?
attendance policy. So each grade level, they're all going to take care of. So when a student, if you
So
look back,
originally though, was it one administrator? Because Linda told us one administrator was going to do it. And we
originally,
said we wanted everybody to have their own.
originally it was one. We split it now. So Ms. Goodwin was going to do the high school attendance policy and the credit policy. That's what we did last year and the year before with the dean. We split that now. So they will take care of the attendance. So for
No,
instance,
but I mean, is it going grade by grade? Like, is she, okay, what is she in charge of? What grade?
ninth grade.
But is she in charge of all, okay, so now she's only doing ninth grade
She's all-
attendance and credit.
No, she's only doing ninth grade attendance and she's doing the credit policy for all 4 grades. She is not taking care of regular attendance for the 10th, 11th, and 12th. She's no longer taking care of that. So Mr. Sidman is going to take care of the attendance for the 11th and 12th grade, not Ms. Goodwin anymore.
Right, because somebody had said, I thought it was the credit policy.
She
See,
is,
one of the parents had asked me, that's what I'm saying. Why has the credit policy not been suspended? Is there a reason why each grade level doesn't manage their own credit policy so they know their students and they get to know each student on each grade level's special needs? Which they make sense. That makes sense. That's why I'm.
go ahead.
Because no offense, I just don't want, it's like one administrator doesn't know all 4 grades. They know their grade.
That's why they will handle the attendance.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, with the change, listen, by the way, I'm Mark Sidman. I'm the assistant principal at the high school, for those who may not know me. And we're here tonight with Michelle Goodwin. She's another assistant principal at the high school, and we're happy to have Michelle on.
Go by the speaker.
And then finally, Michelle Laux wanted to be here tonight. She's dealing with her own personal illness right now, but she's watching from home. Hello, Michelle. Yes. The interventions that happen at grade level, they have been continuous, even under the past practices that have been in place. Whereas we had a dean of students at one time who then took on grade level responsibilities such as discipline, but that individual was responsible for overseeing the management of the attendance policy and the practices at the high school, as well as the credit policy and the practices associated at the high school. It was that individual also oversaw at the different times of the year the appeals hearings that we talked about, because half-year courses can have appeals in January. That could happen again in June, and then full-year courses, the appeals would happen in June. What I think everybody's not recognizing is that there's ongoing intervention throughout the course of the year, and it always has been, where phone calls have gone out to parents. Social workers have been involved. Guidance counselors have been involved. And, most importantly, the grade level administrators have been involved. And we know many of the students who were habitually absent.
So you guys have called, you guys have called and the guidance have called. Every student has been at least gotten a phone call from somebody.
Regards to what? Attendance?
In regards to attendance, whether it be attendance, their credit, whether it's been in regards to they're making their scheduling next year. Has every student been touched with a phone call?
Well, the scheduling hasn't fully taken place yet. We'll cover that in a little
That's
bit.
next, yeah.
All right. I can't speak that everybody has received phone calls, but a combination of phone calls and letters. You do know that phone calls go out from our attendance office when a student is absent daily. It happens at roughly 9:30 in the morning and 2:06 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Those are regular.
But does that always happen is my question.
That happens on a daily basis when students are absent.
Right, I understand that, but what I'm saying to you is there are some parents who are saying that they're not getting these phone calls, that their child's being marked absent, and then they find out that the child is losing credit, course credit,
Well,
because of absences.
they're receiving letters. For example, my own office has sent out letters this year pertaining to the absences, because I've had teachers write up quite a few students that have literally disappeared during the course of the lesson when they're home virtual. We don't know why. So I make phone calls. I talk to those parents who've been written up because the assumption is, where did they go? Are they having technical issues or are they cutting the class? And it becomes, I'm the judge and the jury on that as the 11th, 12th grade administrator. And I contact and I assess and find out. Often it's very difficult to even make contact with some of the parents. So what I've done is I print out the attendance report. I've, in certain circumstances, printed out their progress report as well as their report card and sent them home to parents via mail, and in many cases, certified mail.
But that's the whole point that I was trying to make about the credit policy and the attendance policy. The 11th and 12th grade is better than another AP, correct?
But
you're going to know their special needs. And if a child has something going on at home, or if a child has some special issue, whatever it is, wouldn't you know better than one of your other fellow APs? I'm just asking.
I would probably be better acclimated to working with that student. That's true. But let's go back.
So that's what I'm saying. Wouldn't it make more sense on a year like this with COVID? I will, but I'm just saying, wouldn't it make more sense with COVID this year? I'm saying with COVID this year and all the issues, wouldn't it make more sense for each grade level to have their administrator handling their issues? Because we have a lot of kids. Have you looked at the numbers? We have a lot of kids that are failing, way more than last year.
I think what if I could just try to respond to that, working with Miss Goodwin, who's overseeing the credit component to this, as well as, she's attached to the attendance office, with the attendance office doing what they do operationally every day. We're always in communication. If I get certain information, certainly it's going to be communicated between the two of us. Where she comes in is providing the oversight when it comes time, if it comes time, to the credit appeal process. And again, that's very subjective, and that's where it works to the student's benefit. You have to understand that. We grant more appeals based on the meetings that we ultimately end up having with the parents and the student to discuss why were all these absences taking place this year. And they present what the mitigating issues are. Now, sometimes it's taken almost several months for the parent finally to get in to respond. This has been the pattern over the years. And when you start to think about numbers, all right, you have to understand that this isn't a huge number of kids that we're dealing with. All right, it's a smaller number.
Have you guys had any appeals happen so far in January?
We're not at that point yet because of we're not at the end of the second quarter. So for half your classes, there is the possibility there could be appeals for students who may have lost credit.
But there have been parents that have been called and told that their students are failing and that they're not going to graduate unless they go to an appeal process. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, well, I'm letting you know it has happened. So if it has happened, okay, it has happened.
Is it? Yeah, just a question, phone call or a letter?
I think Ms. Goober may have handled a few of them, but my whole issue, I think, is that I appreciate you guys giving us a whole overview, but the overview has some flaws because, unfortunately, you could tell me this is all going to be done and it's all great, but it's not being done, and that's the issue. The issue is we're saying that there's appeals in January, but we're into January. It's the 12th of January. We have kids who are failing, and some parents said that they haven't gotten contacted. Okay, that's why I'm saying maybe they have now, but they weren't contacted as of 3-4 days ago.
Jackie, I just wanted, so you're clear, I want you to be clear. I called kids that are failing.
Yes, I heard
Okay,
that.
all right.
Okay, there are kids failing that did not receive a phone call.
Seniors, every senior that I've called, every senior who is failing, a class required for graduation or more than one class.
Okay,
even if they're not
there are
required.
kids that had a class requiring graduation and did not get phone calls.
All right.
I'll speak to you later, but I'm
Okay.
saying it's not, listen, like I said, I just want to make sure that the kids graduate. It's about the kids. It's
We
not
all do.
about you. It's not about me. It's about them. I want to make sure that these kids graduate. This is a year where there are so many challenges. I commend the teachers. I commend the administration for doing what they have to do every day to make sure that these kids are getting an education and that they're safe and healthy. But that's first and foremost, is safe and healthy. But I also want to make sure that we're guiding parents in the right direction. I want to know when are these kids going to have their schedules? There are parents like myself who have 8th graders coming into the high school next year.
Can we just finish this?
Go ahead,
All right.
go ahead.
All right, so with this attendance policy, I just want to make sure everybody's clear that it's two different parts here. You're asking about suspending the credit policy. I mean, that's up to everybody in this room. We can't suspend the attendance policy. It's a state regulation, but if,
Which one?
the credit.
Okay, so yeah, they're correct. We need to follow not only the Board of Education's policies, but you have to follow the New York State Education Department requirements with regard to attendance. The attendance policy is a required policy that every school district in New York State has to have.
Not attendance, the credit policy.
Okay, which we're discussing is kind of connected in the sense that if you don't attend, then that affects your credit. So you have to be very careful in terms of trying to amend the policy in that it has to be consistent with the requirements of New York State. So that's beyond the control of a building, of the superintendent, or the Board of Education. I know what other school districts are doing. They have an attendance policy that's consistent with New York State Education Department rules and regulations, because everybody has to have it.
If anyone's doing anything that is different, that still follows that, but is more leniency to help some of the smaller kids.
What I'm hearing the staff saying, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, is that during the appeals process, all of those factors come in. So to the extent there was a concern about not being able to attend because there's no internet access or whatever the issues may be, it sounds like the staff is taking that into consideration in determining whether to count that against the child or not. Am I correct?
Yeah, if you look at the last page here, the paragraph in red, please note, this is for the 2021 school year. I don't have to read it to you, but you can see extenuating circumstances, technology issues, illness, family hardship. That's all being taken into consideration. Just to give you a comparison, 2 years ago when we had the appeals, I went back and I looked into how many, I had this ready for last board meeting, 74% of the students that appealed were eventually granted credit. And that was in a non-COVID year, 74. So in a year like this, I'm assuming it would be a lot more than that. Any kids who had issues, didn't have the technology, had a family member who was ill. No one's looking to hurt the kids.
Do the parents know, because I'm reading this is good. Do the parents know the request must be received within 10 days of notification that their child has lost credit?
When the letter goes out, is that in there, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm gonna look.
Hello. So each call that I make, because there are a variety of different letters, I have different conversations with the parents once I reach them. When there is a loss of credit, it indicates that they are entitled to the appeals process. I also sent home an orange colored form. If you'd like, I can send you the forms and you can distribute them to the board should you choose. That indicates what happens in the loss of credit process. They have 10 days to respond if they would like to appeal. It is challenging during these times to contact many parents, especially the students who are completely virtual. So again, if Dr. Adams would like, I can send you a copy of each letter. I can send you when they go home. Please note that I just got the green light. I started November 16th. I got the green light to begin this process just before Christmas. And so several students were already further along in the credit policy when we caught it than they normally would be if I had been here since the beginning of the year. Unfortunately, I just began it on November 16th. But again, it's indicated. I'm happy to provide you with those letters, and any questions the board might have, I will gladly answer.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you because a parent did reach out to me and say they reached out to you and that you helped them. I definitely told one of the other people. I think I told you, Linda.
And it is an unfortunate conversation to have, but the credit policy, as well as the attendance policy, reinforces that we're in school to be in school, despite the fact that we're virtual. And so I think it's great that Mr. Middleman mentioned earlier that the middle school principals are talking about virtual learning expectations, because it is a fluid situation this year. We are learning as we go, and we just have to stay healthy and get to June. And we will do that. And conversations like this are important. So thank you for bringing up any concerns. Any parent who's watching, I can assure you that should you bring a concern to the high school administrative staff, myself, Mr. Moran, Mr. Sidman, Ms. Laux at home, we will gladly address it. Just bring it to our attention and we're here to help you. Okay? Thank you.
Does anyone have any
Well, I have a statement and I have a question. So I'm gonna start off with my statement. I am not assuming responsibility for children, and particularly on the secondary level, for not having one-on-one devices. I advocated for this a few years ago. It did not happen. I faced pushback from board members and administration. So I just want to go on record publicly that I wanted one-on-one devices for the support of a lot of people in the community for our children to have one-on-one devices. So putting that aside,
But that was years ago, right? When was that? How many-
a significant number of students had failed multiple classes this first marking period versus last year's first marking period. We have seen double to 4 times the amount in percentages of multiple students that have failed multiple classes. What do you think is the driving force, and how do we rectify this to achieve students' success?
That's a good question.
You know, I,
Oh, I missed it, I'm sorry. Go ahead, I missed the question, I'm sorry.
Hi, Ms. Auglis. So I think that what you brought up is important, and there are several factors. I understand that we didn't provide technology. I know Mr. Middleman is working on that, and hopefully we have some good news soon. We're in unprecedented times during a pandemic. So there are a lot of moving parts, and each and every child and their situation and their grade level comes with a different set of circumstances that we have to have the patience to work through. So an initial reaction to perhaps a letter or something that makes us uncomfortable that we receive in terms of news regarding our child's education, we can't be reactive. We have to decide how we're going to respond. And that starts with them reaching out to us as the administrative team. The other thing I will say in terms of the credit and the attendance policy is that it's very important to contact the attendance office when you are having Wi-Fi issues. When technology becomes a challenge in your home, you can contact an administrator. But daily, we need you to be in communication with us regarding absences so that our letters, our information, and how if that's not correct, we can't decide how to best serve you. So, Ms. Auglis, I'm not sure if that answers part of your question. Does it?
Not entirely, because I think the biggest component that I may think that we are facing is, children can only sit in front of a computer for so long. I've done online classes. I know after hour number 3, my mind is mentally spent. What are we doing to have our children engaged in wanting to be part of the learning, virtual learning models? Are students just logging in, checking, saying, hey, I'm here, and napping for the 35 minutes that they're in class? Are they engaged in some way?
Well, I think, I'm sorry.
Is that a piece of it? I understand this is completely multifaceted. I understand that a lot of homes don't have technology or don't have the Wi-Fi, and there's definitely a lot of moving parts. We started in March, going on a lockdown. Our children went virtual from March 13th all the way till June. We had the summer to try to be proactive and plan for this. So now as we have completed first marking period and heading into the second marking period, my concern is, one, that the children of last year, not being able to get everything that they need for a proper education, and is it somehow being reflected now when we start to see this significant amount of failed classes? Are we looking at, and I mentioned to Dean Middleman that from this point forward, he's going to supply the board after every marking period, the data, comparing this year to last year. The board wants to see these children succeed. This is the reason why each and every one of us are on the board. And then we want to hear from the administration, we want to hear from teachers, how can we help our students to provide the best free and appropriate education that we can right now? I understand we're under COVID times, I understand there's restrictions, I understand there's certain things. You know, are the children who are going fully remote, are they doing better than the kids that are doing hybrid? You know, is there any way we can start slowly bringing back, maybe starting with our special education students, the secondary level, bringing them back every day and then slowly follow thereafter. But, you know, what concerns me is what is happening today is gonna have long-lasting impacts. And I really wanna try to get ahead of things. I'm a projector thinker. I sometimes think 10 steps ahead. I'm trying for us to think 10 steps ahead to bypass some of the problems we may be seeing.
As a person in education, I understand your frustrations. I think one part of your question dealt with the difference between being present in class and participating in class. Even if this wasn't a hybrid year, let's say that Mrs. Kennedy was in my class, Mrs. Napolitano was in my class, Mrs. Kennedy may choose not to participate in that year. That would result in a discipline referral. Beyond that, I do not have the data concerning the rest of your questions. I'm sure Dr. Adams and her cabinet continuously review different ways to engage the students. I was in the classroom at the start of the year, and I had an exceptional experience. My students worked very hard, and I have to compliment them. So with that said, I don't have the answers to all your questions. It's a conversation I'll have with my building principal. And regardless of whether it was a hybrid year or not, there's definitely a difference between being present in class and participating in class. And I'm sure Mr. Moran may want to.
Yeah, so I'm just going to jump in.
Sorry, Mr. Miller.
As I had spoken earlier, we are putting together a committee to look at online engagement for our students. And what that means is looking at what the responsibility or the expectation is for the student when they are not in the schoolhouse. So that's something that we're putting together. It's something we have identified as a challenge. And as the year has gone on, and the number of cases have increased, it continues to be a bigger issue for us. So it's something that we're putting together, and we'll have expectations out for our instructional staff as far as what they should be seeing from their students, as well as from the students themselves, as well, and information for the parents. You know, there are many factors that go into this, and we're still going through all of it to make sure that we are identifying what the real challenges are and providing those remediations for those challenges. Some of it's engagement, some of it is participation and attendance. Some of it is a backslide from the challenges we faced last spring. And it's making sure that we have all of those pieces of data so that we can individualize the attention to students as best possible. So, you know, we are meeting as an administrative team this Friday, again, to go through some of this data and discuss some of the plans moving forward. So I will have an update to the board after that.
Thanks, Dean.
So,
I got it. Okay.
I'm sorry, just one more question, one last question, Jackie. So, Dean, are we eventually gonna start looking at our special education kids on the secondary level to start becoming, you know, the children that are more severe and then coming down to start having them in on an everyday basis? Because I think that is extremely important as well.
Didn't I ask for that in November? We were gonna do it in December, and then the numbers didn't pan out, and also the numbers went up. So the numbers went, we weren't gonna bring people back.
Yeah, we actually did the research. We had Dr. Hans Diamantis work with our secondary principals, and what we found was that we have, you know, earlier today, we interviewed a director of a potential candidate for director of special education. We have about 1,000 students in the district with IEPs. So if we were looking to bring back the students that had IEPs, and we do have our most significant students at the secondaries are in every day. But our students who are just a level below that, who are in our self-contained classes, our special classes, our small classes, or are in resource room, in that kind of range from inclusion classes to resource to special small classes, the number of students that would be coming in every day would actually push us over the social distancing rules, both on the buses and in our classes. So at that point, when we realized we could not remain within the CDC guidelines of the 6-foot social distancing, is when we stopped looking at it, because the numbers started to climb. The CDC actually updated their school protecting strategies, protecting K-12 school staff from COVID on January 4th. And I was looking to see if they were going to start to let us slide on that a little bit, and they did not. So if the numbers begin to go down in the community and the board feels comfortable going against the CDC guidelines, I personally don't. I think we've been extremely lucky right now because our protective measures have worked to keep us as safe and healthy as possible. So if we, once they say we can stop doing the 6-foot social distancing, my first group I would certainly bring back would be my students who have special needs. Without a doubt, we looked to do it already, and it just didn't work.
My questions next are about scheduling. I just wanted to ask, this is what I was saying before. Not everyone is as well informed as the parents who have children that have already gone through the high school, let's say. So for the incoming students, how is the average parent or person doing course selections with their first high schooler?
Course selection, you want to, Mr. Shipman will address me.
You know, just before I answer that, I really have to say that our teachers, number one, along with our counseling and support staff, our aides, they have done a phenomenal job in that building, adjusting and dealing with every curveball that's been thrown to them to try to, address and really demonstrate that they are vested in these kids, in our students' success. They go out of their way day in and day out. That's what I observe. I'm really impressed by that. And one of the tools, one of the levers that I hope this Board of Education recognizes that we need, and it will be done with sensitivity, is that credit policy. If you take the credit policy away, it's a tool, it's a lever. It is not intended to hurt the kids. All right? It's intended to make sure that we can have some insurances that they are there in their classes. And then if there's any questions, I really mean this, you're going to need to trust the judgment working with us that we are going to do our due diligence to look into these matters. And I'll go back to the end process if it has to reach that. The importance of that appeals hearing tends to work to the student's benefit when they go through the different mitigating issues that came up that caused them possibly to be absent, or because of the technology issues that you brought up, which in some cases are very legitimate. All right, that will be recognized. We do not want to punish these kids for the challenges that they're encountering, but we want to hold students accountable for participating in class.
Okay.
Please.
But again, okay, now back to this one. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find out how is it, so do you oversee guidance? Are you the one that oversee guidance?
Yes, I oversee guidance with Mrs. Laux.
Okay, so a question was, when course requests are put into the computer system for the computer to return a schedule for each student, who reviews this for accuracy?
Okay, let's at least back up a little bit for the process. The process that has unfolded is definitely a unique one this year. We've lost out on that personal touch as far as being able to, number one, have a curriculum fair. All right, go down to the middle school and bring our students together, both at RMS and OBMS, for a presentation in the auditoriums there. That was a great way to introduce ourselves to the students. We need to be a little creative. We need to be innovative in terms of how that might happen. But I want you to understand, at least for the middle schools right now, the course selection process hasn't gotten fully underway yet. It's about to.
What about the upcoming seniors for next year? Have they all been already, are they already starting theirs?
This is what the process is, okay? The course guide itself, which is really the Bible of all the courses that we offer, the descriptions, the flow charts, the prerequisites, everything you really want to know about the high school course offerings are in that guide. That was published to the web back on December 9th. Also, Dr. Adams right now is giving out the course guide a hard copy. I brought everybody a hard copy this evening. Thank you. That, a lot of work goes into that, from working with our teachers, our directors, our chairs. They all have a hand in the development of that guide. And that guide really is a wonderful resource in terms of understanding not only the required courses for graduation, but also that wide variety of electives that we offer. And I got to say, we're really fortunate that we have a Board of Education, a central office, and a community here in Connecticut that supports all the course offerings that we provide. Now, we would have loved to have done a curriculum fair that we've done in the past. We would have loved to brought the kids down to guidance. It's going to be a little different this year. But the process really began back on December 10th, when the course guide was finalized and published to the web. And then on the web page, and you'll see if you take a look, how intuitive the web page could be in terms of ease of use, with the parent letter that's there, with the hyperlinks that are embedded in the letter so that parents can easily navigate with their kids to the course selection sheet and go to the course guide. And most importantly, as a resource, our teachers, guidance counselors, directors and chairs, as well as the building administration, are there to answer any questions that the parents have. We tried to avail ourselves of that. We tried to get that communication out there. And I have to tell you, I tried to get the communication out via, number one, each grade level Google Classroom for grade 9, 10, and 11. All right. Then I tried to use School Messenger to communicate with parents and the households, both via email and through the voice messages. And by the way, for those parents at home, yes, I'm the face behind those phone messages. They always wonder, who's this guy calling? But there's so much that goes on day in and day out in terms of trying to build awareness about the course selection process, including the announcements that are made in the morning, when we do our Pledge of Allegiance. So I can't think of any other way except for the in-person components that we're missing. And one of the other pieces that, recently was introduced was by the directors and chairs working in collaboration with the teachers, the Curriculum Corner. It's another tool this year that was developed so that, again, they could acclimate and get the parents and the students more familiar with, again, the wide variety of the course electives. And then they can go back to the course guide once they get their appetite wet a little bit to determine what they want to take.
Will they still get called down though and sit with a counselor?
What's going to happen is this: the parents are being asked to submit their course selection sheets to the guidance office. If they have to mail it, we accept it by mail. If they have to drop it off at the high school, that's fine also.
Thank you for extending it.
Listen, as far as the timeline went, by the way, we looked at that window of time. We were hoping, we wanted to actually end it before the holiday. Then we said, you know what, let's give parents the holiday. We really weren't receiving a lot of phone calls in the offices, which concerned us tremendously. But then when we got back, we knew, based on the development of the timeline, that there was going to be cushioning there so that we were able to extend the timeline. It was, it was our dirty little secret, so to speak. We knew it was likely going to happen. And it also gave us more time to adjust and come up with additional resources, such as the Curriculum Corner. So the parents send in these course selection sheets. What's going to end up happening is the counselors are going to begin inputting those at the end of January. And then at the end of January, and the reason why it's going to be done then is our teachers, starting yesterday, our core academic teachers began the inputting of the course requests for all the core courses in English, science, social studies, math, and global. Any concerns, any issues, we recommend strongly that the students or the parents contact the teachers to discuss what their student is going to be recommended for by the teacher for next year. That's consistent, but the time frame is different than the way we've done it in the past. All right, that usually happened earlier, before even the student course selection started. Because if anybody's had kids go through the high school, it was February when the students came down to the guidance department via their social studies classes to have the one-on-one meetings. But what's going to happen is that the counselors are going to input from those sheets, the course selection sheets, all the electives. They're going to have a chance when they start doing this at the end of January to review the core academic classes that the teachers have put in. And then if there are any issues or concerns, they'll call a student down, because it may be that maybe the student didn't choose enough electives to fill up their 9-period day.
So not every student's going to get called down.
There's a possibility that is correct. However, there'll be an opportunity where the verifications go out. That's the course request verifications once they're in the computer. And we also determine what courses are going to run based on what we call a simple tally, because everything's driven by the course requests. If we get, unfortunately, an elective that doesn't get a lot of course requests, we won't be able to run that elective. Then the counselors have to look at it and say, all right, what other electives are available for this student? They're going to have to select something else. There's also the possibility something might be so popular that our underclassmen may have to select something else. We always try to give priority to the seniors with the electives. So there will definitely be meetings. The counselors are definitely going to reach out, but it is definitely, let's not mistake this, it's going to take a different shape this year. But I have to encourage, again, our parents and our students,
If you have a question, reach out to the teacher, reach out to the counselor. They're there to support and help through the process.
Well, now I at least know if they have an issue. I was told tonight, so I want to at least let the community know. If they have an issue, they're to go to their teacher or guidance counselor. If that doesn't work, go to your administrator in the building. And if that doesn't work, you have to call the middleman.
No, wait, you left out our wonderful directors and chairs.
Well, that's what they told me. That's what she told me.
So it depends what the question is.
Yeah.
Because if it's a question about curriculum, it's a question, let's say that there's a math teacher that the parent didn't
have a complaint.
Whatever, but it does depend, because if it's going to be something about, let's say, a math teacher, you're going to go to the math director before you hit the principals or the APs, and then it goes up to Mr. Middleman, it goes to me after that. Again, earlier we said, call the board member can call me, I can figure out where it needs to go, we can start from there, that works out too. But the truth is, they really should start with the teacher that they have the question with. So if it's a scheduling issue, they should call their child's guidance counselor. If their guidance counselor doesn't give them what they need, then you go to either Mr. Sidman or Mrs. Lux, who are in charge of that department. After that, you can go right up to Mr. So it depends on the pathway, and maybe we should put it on the website. You know, here's your question, here's the pathway, and we can certainly put something together like that.
I think the other issue is, I think we really need to discuss maybe at the next meeting. I don't know how you'd have to bring in that maybe guidance. I don't know how you do that, or you talk to them and get whatever from them. I think that it's imperative and important that they speak to every student this year. I really think that's imperative. Like, I understand that the caseloads are high. I get it. And I commend them that, we're grateful to have them there, and we want everybody to stay as safe and healthy as possible. But at the same time, we have to make sure that the kids who are having a stressful and mentally stressful and straining year get the help they need and guidance to really guide them and give them help in the pathway of how, because isn't guidance supposed to be the ones that help them in the pathway to go to college, in the path to make their interviewing, in the path to, so these are all these things, like especially seniors and 11th graders. I mean, I would say 10th, 11th, and 12th is the most important, but then you have the 9th graders, it's their first year. So they really need to speak to guidance too, because they need to get a handle on if they have any issues, who do they go to talk?
Right. And I have to, I have to give a plug to our counselors, because they really are 7 individuals that if you were to speak to them about a particular student, and this has happened, for all the years I've been here, they can tell you, yes, I know this individual, I've met with this individual, I know their background. The counselors are a wonderful group, and the students know they can go into that counselor office and reach out to their counselors whenever the need be. And, what they really avail themselves to do often, and even in these pandemic times, if a student demonstrates a need where they have to see their counselor immediately, these are individuals that will drop everything and do drop everything regularly. And they work in coordination with the building administration, certainly the teachers, and also with our YFS staff. So everybody is working as a team. And it goes back, and I know there's been some questions that have come up about, did they meet with freshmen? Yes, they met with freshmen. Did they meet with every single freshman this year? They made the attempt. It's been very difficult with the virtual environment sometimes to make that connection, and they're continuing to try to do that. They're trying to make these things work for our kids. Our seniors right now, as you well know, they're in the middle of the college application process. I hope that many of them have finished it up. Some still are getting their applications in because the final deadlines are here. And the counselors play an integral role in that. And they've continued to support the students and the parents through that process. And as I said, have continued to answer questions and make themselves available via phone, via the meetings that they have personally with the students. The piece that we don't have this year are bringing the parents in for personalized meetings, just because that's not something we're doing based on the pandemic. We just can't have all these people from outside in the building.
There's a bunch of parents that say that have complained that their 9th graders have not seen guidance. So maybe if you guys could, and Linda, maybe we could request this. I know I requested it earlier in the year, but it was too early with everything going on. I think it was like October, and I actually asked you to forget about it, but now I'd actually like to see it. I'd like to see that they spoke to every individual,
Well,
every ninth grade individual.
if I can, I would really appreciate for those parents to contact the guidance office.
I think some have, and I think they've even gone as high as Mr. Moran. So I don't want to speak about any specifics, but there are a group of people that are saying that a lot of this information, maybe they fell through the cracks, maybe, like I know there's a lot going on, but again, not every ninth grader was spoken to, not every ninth grade parent was reached out to, not every senior parent who has lost credit and has already been told that they're going to have to appeal in June was spoken to. These are all things that maybe you guys, can check up on. It maybe was an oversight.
Absolutely. As I said a little bit earlier, and it's not just words, our entire faculty, staff, the administration, they're vested in the success of the kids. The kids don't exist for us. We exist for them. We recognize that. We're here to make sure that they have a successful high school experience even during this pandemic. I think everybody...
Listen, we say the same thing. We don't get paid to do this. I tell everybody, we do this because we volunteer to be elected, because I'm here for the kids. Everyone always asks, what are we here for? We're here for the kids. I don't want to see kids in front of me a week before, 3 days before, saying I didn't have an opportunity to get my credits because of blah, blah, blah. I want to see that we did everything in our power and that we could to help these kids along.
Yes.
Because just as frustrated and stressed out as we are as adults, like I said, I appreciate everything that all of the staff, all the teachers, all of the custodians, all of the security, all of the food workers, everybody has put into, our admin staff in the cabinet have put into making sure all the kids are safe and healthy and having a good year, and that the staff is safe and healthy. But in that being said, I really want to make sure that seniors whose year is really not looking like a senior year, they don't have anything else that they have to worry about. These are kids who have already been accepted into colleges, but are worried about losing credits. So they're really, and we have ninth graders who, like I said, this is a very strange first year in high school for them. Fifth graders, eighth graders, graduating, moving up. Strange year for them. We thought last year was bad, but at least they got a half a year of it being normal. So that's why I'm saying, if there's anything we can do to help it along, if there's anything that you need from the board or from the super that we can all do to help you along, if there's equipment or something that we need, it's going to be budget season, let us know.
I think the real piece here is the collaborative piece of all of us coming together as a community, getting the word out, letting people know the resources are there for them, letting them know, for example, I'll go back to our counselors, that our guidance counselors are there for them. I can tell you the counselors do make that effort. If the parents having trouble getting through, you have grade level administrators that would be happy to make sure that that connection happens. These are caring individuals that want to be there for the students. And if they need additional supports, you know, the counselors there, the YFS staff is there, but I can't understate the teachers are there. And parents need to know that the teachers can be communicated with at any time, whether it be phone or email, and they will, get back to this parent in a reasonable amount of time. We're all adjusting, as we all acknowledged a little bit earlier, to this crazy landscape based on this pandemic. But we want to make sure, and you go back to the seniors, that they have an experience at least that will be somewhat memorable in a positive way. And we're trying to work with our teachers to come up with new innovative, programs that might be able to do that, similar to what we did last spring. And, Mr. Moran played a really incredible role. As you recall, when we tried to get out all those, all the caps and gowns and, the diploma, all of that to the kids and try to make something special. It's hard under these circumstances, but you have to believe we are trying, and certainly our teachers and, counselors and all of our support staff are trying to make that happen on a daily basis.
I have a question.
Read, but all ninth graders and stuff. Is there going to be summer school or something to help them along?
We haven't heard any updates regarding any of the assessments, whether it be Regents or the 3 through 8 assessments. Nothing about summer school at this point, but I'll keep the board updated once those
Right,
plans
yeah,
come out.
because I do hear from middle school parents and their kids, some of them are really struggling.
So I met with the middle school principals. So they are in the process of putting together data sheets and plans for each of the students who are having challenges, and I'll be sharing that shortly with the board.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was all. I think I hit on everything. Let me just see. I think I did. Mark, you have anything you want to add? Mark, you don't like my questions?
No, I didn't say that. You're good.
I love you too, Mark.
I didn't say that, but sometimes I'll give a person a chance to talk.
Too
But
bad.
anyway,
Just one last point, and then just in terms of the contacting of the guidance office also, there is, when you go to the guidance office webpage, it outlines a very easy process to follow where they could simply email the secretary. The secretary will absolutely set up a phone appointment for a parent to contact the counselor. And if they'd like, they can copy any of the building administrators associated with that grade level. And, just so we can all work together to ensure the connection happens. But that information's out there. I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Warshaw.
It might not be for you guys. It might go to them. So hold on. The Regents for seniors, has it been suspended? Has it been?
We haven't heard anything yet.
So there are going to be Regents.
As of right now, the assessments are on the schedule to be delivered, to be given. So just like the 3 grade assessment, we ordered those as well.
Okay.
I was hoping for an update last Friday, but the update said that there's nothing else.
Now, what about we have a PSAT, right? An SAT coming up or no?
We have a PSAT on January 26th, which
Is that all
Michelle can speak
situated?
to.
Can you speak about that? Is it?
So we're currently planning or outlining that day, and we are excited. We have well over 200 students registered, and I'm sure they're getting ready and they're eager. And that's really all I have to say on that.
Oh, well, I wish them all a lot of luck and thank you all for making that happen for them. I know that these kids really have been worried about all this testing. So I appreciate all of you that are putting the time in to take care of that.
I will say this, today, we were delivered the student manuals, and the exams. So we will be communicating with the public within the next few days how they can pick up their student manuals. So you'll see that information. They'll get it connected on that as well.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, so I just wanted to piggyback on what Jackie said. You know, when I looked at the numbers, obviously the great concern is making sure that our seniors are gonna graduate. You know, again, there was a significant number over last year of students that have failed multiple classes. So, Moran and I touched base, and I'm glad to see that, he's reached out to the students and, to see whatever it is they need, to, pass, get the credits necessary. Without divulging too much information, Mr. Moran, do you have a sense on why these seniors, have failed multiple classes?
A lot of the parents that I spoke the last couple of days just because, I had the time in the building because the students were virtual. It's a lot of the kids that are fully virtual who are struggling. And I spoke to the parents and I said as a family decision, if you were unsure about coming back to the building, because I did speak to them about going hybrid. Some of them were receptive to it. Some of them were unsure. I had one student today opt to go to the alternative school. So just a lot of, they're struggling. Every parent I spoke to, it was like the same conversation. So I told them, I looked at the teachers that they had and they said, some missing assignments. I don't know, it might be too late. I emailed the teacher, said, please call his mom and let her know if her son can still get these assignments in that were due before the holidays. And the teachers have been great getting back to them. So it seems to be, Mylan, it seems to be, a lot of the fully virtual kids and, the same thing. They're just struggling, sitting at home. It's tough for them to sit in front of a computer and just do the work.
Now, are they provided extra help like we would do on a Like we're doing on a hybrid?
I mean, they could work that out with the teacher. You know, if they notify the teacher, a couple parents asked me about that today, and I told them the same thing. You know, the teachers will bend over backwards for the seniors. They'll bend over backwards for anyone, but especially the seniors. They don't want to see their class be the reason the students don't walk. But, you know, I encourage them to reach out to the teachers on that.
And how do they work out, like say gym or electives when you're fully virtual?
What do you mean? How do they work? How do they work what out? I'm sorry.
Obviously, they're not in school, so how would a gym day? They just have to write assignments for like a gym class, like
Well,
the gym.
the gym teacher can also do something, you know, on video for the kids to do at home, or they can do a written assignment, but they like to do something, you know, moving around more often. Right.
Right. And by the way, I do want to commend the staff, the PTA, and the administration at the high school. I saw you at the Winter Wonderland, Moran. You know, I get excited when I get to see kids, and it was definitely a beautiful event and greatly appreciated by the community. I have to tell you, I waited online 45 minutes and it was worth it. So just please extend through the board our appreciation for anybody that contributed to make that a success, because it really meant a lot to the community, especially during these times, just to see, you know, happiness and you know, spirit of holiday.
Thank you. I mean, it looks like everybody chipped in. It was a wonderful event. It looks like something, maybe we'll try again. Right, it was great. So I think, you know, we had a lot of club advisors who, you know, had interest in being involved again, you know, next year, you know, because now the clubs are up and running. So a lot of the other clubs who weren't participating in it this year, you know, asked if we can do it again next year. They would love to take part in it. So if we do it next year, it should be even bigger and better.
It was great. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I just want to say something. If we can get like an email out to all the parents and the students, basically just trying to think of some solutions, let them know about if they have attendance problems, that they know they need to reach their guidance counsel. So this way it's taken care of, because they said they're on it. But you know what? We got to stay on it also. So if we can get, you know how you send out that email, let them know. And you have a record of it. This way it's documented, and we see it also about that. So this way we know it's going out about attendance problems. Same thing with anything else, with grades, passing and failing. So if we can get email out for them. I'm also going to, I thought what you said, Mr. Sidman, was great about the guidance council and everything like that. But my son was in school, and he was kind of smart, and he really didn't have to talk to anybody. He went through, and nobody really reached out to him, and he didn't reach out to anybody. He got through school. He's doing well. He's in college. There are a lot of kids out there. I know you're saying the guidance council is reaching out to everybody. I don't think that's actually happened where they make every single phone call. And if they are, God bless them. But if they are, have documentation. So this way, when a parent comes to us and says, my son was never even called, we don't have to pick a side. Where at least if the guidance council has documentation of this happening, we're okay. We can say, listen, he called on this date, and this was the response he got, or he left a message. And you got to document it. It's got to be something that's solidified. So it's important. I mean, Mr. Moran, you getting up here and saying something is great, but now we need to document this, because we are here for the kids. And I don't want to be put in a position where I got to say to a parent, I don't believe you. I'm never going to do that. Just like I'm going to say, I'm not going to tell you you're lying or anything like that. But at least if we have documentations, even from the guidance counselors, we know we're doing our part. And that's what's more important, that we're doing our part for the kids. So as I was noticing that, so even the kids that are smart, the ones that don't need that call, this is a different year. So they might need that phone call. So I know a guidance counselor that had my son probably wouldn't have called him. But this year, maybe call him. How you doing? Everything okay? How your grades? You got to stay on it, because this is a different year. So this way, that kid that is an A student stays the A student. So if you can get documentation of the guy, and I'm not trying to say they're not doing it, but we're missing, obviously nobody's perfect. So if we could just stay on top of that and do something like that. And it's the same thing with the attendance phone calls. My son used to get the phone calls when he missed school. Fortunately, he didn't miss a lot of school. But it happened. I agree that. But we sometimes, I don't know if we document it. with what's going on here, we need documentation. We need to be solidified on everything. So this way we know we're doing our part. Not that we're just taking somebody's word and okay, because sometimes taking that person's word, that's where the confrontation comes in. Let's avoid the confrontation. Let's work together as a community, as a staff, and as a board to make it perfect. So I'm not objecting to what you said or trying to, what I'm trying to say is let's make it better and maybe make sure we solidify it all. That's all I really have to say. And Linda, that's why I think the letters going out periodically, you send them out, the emails, I think they're great. Maybe do it once a week, every Friday. Anybody, how was your attendance this week? If you had a problem, please make sure you call your guidance council. We don't want, at the end of the year, I went through it last year, saying no to a kid or a parent walking in crying that a daughter's not going to graduate. I can't say no because she missed gym. And because it's just so hard to do up here. And I know we sometimes have to make those decisions. So if we can stay on top of it on our part, I won't feel as guilty. You know what I mean? I'm going to say, hey, we gave you ample opportunities. We sent out emails every week. That's what I'm looking to do. If we can do that as a team collectively, I think it would help the district better and would just help the students also. I don't know if anybody else has anything else to say. Well, I guess I can close the meeting.
Just one moment, Mr. Warshore.
yes.
The high school administrative team just wants to take a minute to personally thank, by name, a group that contributes greatly. Without them, a great many things do not happen there. And that's the Connecticut High School PTSA. Kim Trink, Ms. Sue O'Shea, Ms. Duzak, and especially Mr. John Tedeschi, because we needed the Winter Spectacular this year. Thank you, Dr. Adams, for making it happen. Thank you to the Board of Ed for approving it, especially Mr. John Allen right here, who was cooperative. Both he and Tim Dungate, without them and their crew, it did not occur. So especially high school PTA, Mr. Allen, thank you. Mr. Dungate, thank you. Dr. Adams and her cabinet and the Board of Ed, thank you so very much.
Well, the grounds guys were amazing too, because they put all those lights out. That was awesome of them.
So I just,
Before we leave, John Allen was supposed to answer a few of my questions.
Oh, we thought we were gonna get you out of here. Oh, Dean had something to say too. Dean, please turn your camera on.
Good. Want to go, Dean? All right, I will be quick, Mark, I promise. So to your question, Mylan, so far, we have seen a delay in the work being approved at SED. It has put a couple of the projects in question, but that being said, there are quite a few projects that have been approved. In fact, the board at the last meeting awarded the work for the OBMS and the RMS auditoriums. So that work is actually going to be beginning in February. I've spoken with the building principals. They're not using those spaces. So during the second shift, they're going to start getting in there and prepping those spaces and making sure that we're going to have them fully available, fully renovated in time for a September opening. The other project that was awarded was Sycamore. That's the HVAC system. That building, other than the atrium and a couple classes over by the cafeteria, is getting a new HVAC system throughout the entire building that will improve the air quality throughout the building, as well as provide a much more reliable heat source. As far as the elementary libraries, you asked about that. I did take a quick second to look at those in the SED portal, and Slocum and Cherokee libraries have both been approved. We are still waiting on approval from Idlehour and Boston. Those are the 4 elementary libraries that were slated to be addressed this summer. I expect we'll get approval for those 2 other libraries in the next month, which will give us enough time to bid them out and to make some determinations as to whether or not we're going to present them to the board and at what point. Other work that has been approved by SED but has not yet been awarded would be the press box and the comfort station at the high school and the maintenance building and the sand salt shed. Those were bid out initially. Unfortunately, those prices came back higher than we had initially estimated. So until we get some numbers from other projects, such as the elementary libraries, we are going to hold off rebidding those until we know we have a little bit more wiggle room in some of the prices. So, in total, it's upwards of $20 million. There's quite a bit of work that we're looking to do. And it's important that we try to get as much done as possible because it also aligns the debt service that's retiring with the new capital work that we're proposing and has always been the plan since we started talking about this project several years ago. I'm not sure. Did that answer enough of your questions?
Yes, thank you. So it seems that things are going along the best they can under these circumstances.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the two auditoriums at the middle school and the HVAC system at Sycamore, I mean, those are both by themselves pretty massive projects. And they are both, they are all awarded and excuse me, they've all been bid out and awarded. And I've already met with the contractors. We've already started establishing the scope of work. So we're going to start seeing work in those locations as early as the February break. And one more big piece of information actually relating to capital indirectly is the energy performance contract was approved today. So that's what's going to give us the ability in future years to reduce our utility expenses by 50%. It's going to put solar panels at almost all the buildings, get a good portion of the buildings off the grid. It's going to replace the heating system at the high school. Whole bunch of other good work that's included in that as well. So that approval was just done today, and now central office will start working on the financing piece of it so that we can line that up, and then actually they can start ordering and scheduling the work hopefully as early as this summer for elements such as the light fixtures and the boiler room, first and foremost.
Thank you. And my one last question would be for Linda. I noticed that you prepared the resolution for the board stance on mandating COVID vaccine. It was not on the agenda today. Can we please make sure it's on the next agenda?
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm not advocating for one way or the other. I think we all can agree that we're advocating for parent choice when it comes to that vaccine. And you know how strongly I felt about the HPV. Again, parent choice. It's not up to the state or the government to infringe that on parents' choice. So I appreciate you writing a great resolution for the HPV. As you know, that many of the districts have taken your language or used part of your language. And there was a lot of support for that. I would anticipate that we probably have the same support too. Again, parent choice for the COVID vaccine. I understand right now it's not being given to children, but at some point in time, I expect that it probably will be. So I just want to kind of get ahead of that and where the Connect Plus stands on that particular item.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I heard a quick question from Lee relating to solar. Okay. So the solar is going to be spread out through the district depending on the roofs and depending on the tree lines available around it. If there's too many tree lines, such as Duffield, there's really not a good place because of the slope of the roof to put solar on that. But yes, the age of the roof is being considered everywhere they're putting solar. In many cases, they're doing the carports that you see at a lot of the federal buildings. So those are going to be at the high school. You're going to see those at Sycamore and the middle schools as well, because they didn't want to put as much on the roof, and it's actually cost effective to put the canopies right in the parking lot. Yeah, it's something that's, you've seen it at the federal buildings, but now the panels are much more efficient. Smithtown was the first district to really do that last year. Brentwood is now doing a 6 megawatt project. We're going to be doing about 3.3 district wide. So about half of our electrical utilities will be able to be reduced after this.
Thank you.
So I just
Anybody
have
else? I'll ask.
one
going
last
once.
thing.
Oh,
We are very excited to announce that we did receive our initial shipment of Chromebooks. So the district received 2,916 Chromebooks. We are tweaking our distribution plan. The priority will be starting at our high school and making sure that our hybrid and virtual students have the Chromebooks. and then rolling into the 2 middle schools. We're hoping to be able to leverage some of the purchases that we made this year to be able to provide them for some of our elementary students as well. We are still waiting for approval from Smart Schools, and we have not had that yet, which is holding up our second order of Chromebooks. So, but we're very excited about this process, and there'll be information going out to parents later this week and next week. That's it.
Good, everybody, good. Motion is second to adjourn the Connect What public session meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, have a good night, everybody. Stay safe and healthy.
Have a good night, everyone. Safe and healthy.
Good
Perfect.
night, thank you.